The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello. Thank you for joining us for this session, Mission Impossible, Southern California, Prop 39 ZNE School Retrofit Pilot Case Studies. I am Connie Umphris, Communications Manager at New Buildings Institute. Before we begin, I have a couple of housekeeping things to tell you about. First, you are muted and we cannot hear you. This helps keep the background noise down so that everyone can better hear the speakers. I want to direct you to the dashboard that you should be able to see on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're having technical difficulties and cannot see the slides or hear our speakers, you can use that question pane in the dashboard to let us know, and we will help you as we go. Please ask questions in the same question pane as they come up. We will have time to ask questions at the end of the presentation. At the end of the session, you will also be given the opportunity to take a short survey. Please take a moment to answer the questions as it helps shape upcoming events. This is also where you can provide us with your AIA number for credit submission. This session is being recorded, and the link to the recording and a PDF of the slides will be sent in a follow-up email tomorrow. I'd like to pass it over to Riley Loveland, Project Manager here at New Buildings Institute, who will introduce our topic and speakers. Riley, over to you.
Thanks, Connie. As Connie said, my name is Riley Loveland, and I'm a project manager here at New Buildings Institute. And welcome to the third webinar in our Prop 39 Zero Net Energy School webinar series. This one is titled Mission Possible, Southern California Prop 39 ZNE School Retrofit Pilot Case Studies. We'd like to thank the California investor-owned utilities who are sponsoring this webinar series. So just for some quick background on us, the New Buildings Institute researches and defines leading edge practices and technology applications for high performance buildings, and then translates them into these innovative and practical solutions for the utility, energy efficiency, and commercial building industries. And as Connie said, for those of you seeking continuing education credit, here are the learning objectives for today, which I'll read very quickly. Participants will understand how key zero net energy buildings concepts and strategies are implemented through successful case studies of a pilot project in Southern California. Participants will learn the benefits of ZNE retrofits beyond energy cost savings and how to communicate the importance of ZNE retrofits beyond simple payback. Participants will learn how ZNE retrofits should be planned and optimized across the whole school district, and how to anticipate and overcome the invariable challenges and hurdles in the path of a ZNE retrofit. And fourth, learn how ZNE school retrofits and new construction should be coordinated into an integrated design process to optimize building performance, student-teacher performance, and life cycle cost. So I'm going to do a very quick introduction to ZNE and ZNE in schools, and then pass the mic off to today's presenters. So a ZNE building is a building that produces at least as much energy as it uses in a year when the grid supplied energy, which includes primary energy for generation, transmission, and delivery to the site, is taken into account. And one thing to note is that there are many definitions of ZNE, but the key takeaway here is that all definitions are grounded in efficiency first and the remaining load serviced by renewables. Codes are the legal requirement to achieve ZNE, and here on this map here is what the code cycle roadmap looks like in California. You can see residential ZNE by 2020 and commercial ZNE by 2030. So the key message here to understand is that this is happening, that Title 24 2019 discussions in the residential sector are complete, which means that the next step are non-residential codes, which will impact every school and commercial building in California. But codes are not the reason schools should do this, and there are many benefits of these high-performance ZNE schools. So we're here today with our presenters to highlight the stories of these Prop 39 pilot schools, because ZNE is this next step in sustainable high-performance buildings. ZNE is a way to innovate now to save money for schools in the long run. They're an ideal building type with these generally predetermined occupancy patterns. You can generally pre-plan or understand and organize building occupancy. They have sufficient land and are owner occupied. They're highly visible examples to the community and serve to set a precedence in the community. Going ZNE is fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. They put more money back into the schools because of lower building operation costs, and they have increased student performance with better occupant health. ZNE buildings also provide this project-based hands-on learning opportunities for those 21st century skills. They're more resilient in severe weather events and can create safe havens for a community that makes the community stronger and more independent. And ZNE is not just about the design, but really about operation, because schools are the ultimate early adopters for ZNE and set this example for future generations. These are just some of the examples of the research about high performance schools. With students spending approximately 1,000 hours per year in a school, we have to transform these classrooms into these healthy and productive spaces. It's of the utmost importance, especially when the short-term and long-term health of students and staff is at risk. At NBI, we maintain the largest database of ZNE buildings, and we work to identify and research and analyze these buildings that are leaders in low and ZNE performance. And as you can see here, the market uptick of ZNE buildings has grown tremendously by 700% since 2012. And for some quick reference, ZNE verified buildings, which are these ones in green, have 12 months of metered data that shows zero net or net positive energy production over those 12 consecutive months. And ZNE emerging buildings are buildings that have publicly stated a goal in ZNE, but have not yet demonstrated that they've achieved that goal. So each year we publish a list of getting to zero buildings. That's all the projects in our database, and we're always looking for more projects. So if you have a project that may not be in our list, please let us know and submit. So within this list of ZNE buildings, schools, particularly as you can see here, K-12 schools across the nation are leading market transformation in ZNE. They thrive as these centers for change and value student progress as a driver. ZNE buildings are not just schools, but also libraries, science classrooms, and additions. And we really want to emphasize this idea of the path to ZNE. So while ZNE is a realistic end game, the path to sustainable and high performance zero energy schools is a process that does take time to accomplish. And our presenters today will talk a little bit more about that. But school districts can start now with benchmarking, setting energy targets, writing policies, plans, and practices that'll put you on this path to zero. You know, in our research, we've identified some common themes for these buildings that have successfully implemented ZNE. So this research shows that these are the key steps to a successful ZNE process. And these slides will be available later so that you can take this and review it and show it to your stakeholders. So I would like to pass the mic off to Efren Villaseñor from Southern California Edison, who will give us a brief intro to the Prop 39 pilot program.
Hi. Sometime 2015, the CPUC issued an advice letter to the 4 utilities in California to embark on a ZNE pilot program for public schools and community colleges. So there are some goals for this effort to leverage some of the Prop 39 funds. So some of these projects already have Prop 39 funding, and the ZNE pilot would complement this by pushing the envelope a little bit further on energy efficiency. This would be retrofitting existing buildings in public schools and community colleges. This would be, in a way, it's a little bit more challenging because it's an existing facility, but that was one of the goals of the pilot program. We would establish proof of concept of feasibility for ZNE across California for the schools. We would document the findings and best practices, lessons learned, and case studies would be developed, which would be disseminated to people. And also this pilot, the plan is hopefully to develop it into a full-blown program down the road. There are advantages to the school in participating in this ZNE program. There was a screening to select the schools, and advantages of being selected and participating in this effort is we would socialize awareness to the stakeholders on this energy efficiency measures to staff members, teachers, students, parents in the community. The utilities would provide design assistance through consultants in development of the energy efficiency measures, and also assistance during construction, training on the technologies that we're planning to use, buy down, which is actual money on incremental cost, and some of them full cost of the measure. Next slide, please. in selecting the schools, there were some criteria which we had to use, which was like projects which would had potential to reach 16 to 22 EUI, and there should be available Prop 39 funding for the school, on-site renewable, like solar PVs, and we have a deadline for this project, which is December 2019, and which includes MNB. So it's a pretty tight schedule. One of the lessons learned is, when we'd be able to implement the measures during a class, yearly class schedule. So next slide, please. So as we mentioned earlier, target setting, which is like 16 to 22 kBtu per square foot per year, and then we develop the measures to try to reach the target footprint, and same time the solar PV is sized accordingly to reach ZNE, and then the measures are implemented, and some of our projects right now are in the implemented construction phase, and then after the construction phase, then we would go into MNB for about a year, and hopefully we will be able to validate that the projects are indeed reaching ZNE. So that's the quick snapshot of this effort, and hand it over to the other speakers. Thank you.
Thanks, Efren. That was great. So now let me introduce you to the rest of our presenters today, who will dive into the stories of their pilot projects. Celia Hogue is a senior engineer at DNVGL. Seth Jacobson is a senior director at Climate Resolve, and they've both worked on the Garden Grove School District retrofit projects. Hussein Aga, who is the director of facilities planning and construction, and Farah Farzaneh, the sustainability and energy manager, both of San Bernardino Community College. And so before I pass this off, I just wanted to highlight some of the quick resources available to school districts looking to pursue ZNE. So I'll go through these very quickly, but the slides will be available after for reference. NBI has 2 additional offerings this year in California: an in-person workshop at the Pasadena Green Schools and Community Colleges Conference on October 30th, and the 4th webinar in our series, which will be focusing on the topic of costs of ZNE, which will take place on November 29th. NBI also has case studies, guides, and toolkits, and all of these are available on our Getting to Zero resource hub, along with these additional resources. So now I pass it off to you, Celia and Seth.
Thank you, Riley. This is Celia Hogue. So today I'm going to talk to you about Santiago High School, which is participating in the Prop 39 ZNE pilot program. And Seth Jacobson is also going to join me in presenting on that today, and so we'll kind of tag team it as we go back and forth with these slides, in terms of giving you both kind of the design approach, which is where my firm was involved, and then also the school side, which Seth is heavily involved in presenting you kind of the perspective from the school. So next slide, please. I think we'll actually jump another slide ahead too, because Efren presented most of these points, Riley. Jump one more slide. Yeah. Okay, so just to kind of build further on what Efren spoke about with the Prop 39 program, and really talking about what these schools gain from participating in this program. And it's really this free design consultation. So they are able to get this some design advisory services from the team to kind of help them with their retrofits for their buildings. They also receive construction, inspection, and commissioning support throughout the process, and also incremental cost buy down, which is really critical for schools, especially with kind of how they access their funding. So kind of being involved in that analysis and being able to see kind of this incremental cost by measure is really important for a school. where we just jumped ahead. Then they also receive monitoring, diagnosis, correction, and validation, as Efren spoke about, with the measurement and verification piece that occurs once the building is occupied, and obviously coordination with the Prop 39 program throughout. So it really, from participating in this program, the school does gain a lot, and maybe more so than they have kind of with other retrofits for their school buildings. Next slide, please. Most of this criteria for the Prop 39 program, as Efren already spoke about, but just to kind of make a couple more points here. So we did look at 5 different school projects that were evaluated through meeting this criteria. And in terms of just the main kind of evaluation criteria here that Efren already spoke about, we also looked at impact and project diversity through the evaluation, so to see kind of what school districts or specific schools would really kind of benefit from the participation of this program and maybe receive services that they hadn't received before, as I just spoke about with other retrofits. Next slide, please. And so, choosing and finally going through that evaluation criteria, we chose Garden Grove Unified School District. 2 separate schools from this district were chosen. I'm going to pass it off now to Seth to kind of speak more about those 2 schools.
Yes, go back, please.
Celia, it looks like, I'm sorry for everyone on the call, the timer is still on these slides, so forgive us as we have to pass back and forth a little bit.
Great. So first, a little bit about our organization. We're called Climate Resolve. We are a nonprofit 501c3 environmental nonprofit that's focused on climate change solutions in Southern California, both mitigation and adaptation measures, particularly in disadvantaged communities in Southern California. With that in mind, Garden Grove Unified School District is a large low-income district in Orange County, California. They hired Climate Resolve as their Proposition 39 consultant to help them identify energy conservation measures and how to allocate the funds that they received through Prop 39 toward greater energy efficiency. As mentioned, they are in a low-income district. So of the 45,000, more than 45,000 students across approximately 70 campuses spread across 7 cities, 70% of those students are eligible for free and reduced price meals. However, they're also a very high performing district. So of that student population, in 2017, Garden Grove was ranked first for both math and English language test scores in the state among the 140 school districts in the state that have 65% or above student populations that are eligible for free and reduced price meals. So very large, very low income, and very high performing. And one of the reasons they're so high performing is that the district traditionally spends very little of the funds that they have on facilities. They try to put the lion's share of their funds into the classroom, into the teaching and the learning experience for their students. However, a few years ago, the district finally decided to float a bond for modernization and in support of a modernization program that would bring all of their campuses up to code and also in some cases beyond code. And that just happened to dovetail with the timing for their receiving the $11.5 million in Proposition 39 funds. So they could leverage those funds to achieve greater energy efficiency, which they really wanted to do because they were, as part of modernization, planning to finally implement HVAC, air conditioning. Previously, only about 15% of the buildings in the entire district had air conditioning. So with that new air conditioning across the district, they were anticipating, of course, a market increase in energy consumption and operating costs for the district. And so they wanted to try to reduce that consumption through energy efficiency as well. And so that's the reason that the district was open and interested in participating in the ZNE pilot program that became available, the opportunity that became available a couple of years ago. So Climate Resolve brought that opportunity to the district, and the district agreed to submit two potential projects to the pilot program review. One was at Ralston Intermediate School, a multi-purpose building that includes both a cafeteria, kitchen, and theater and multi-purpose space, which is the image on the left of your screen, and actually the building in the background on the left side behind the flagpole. The other project is a science building at Santiago High School. And that building has 6 classrooms and bathrooms, and is or has become a living laboratory for those science students to learn more about the ZNE technologies. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more today, the Santiago project. Next slide, please. So there were, for the two projects, a core team and then really two teams that separated with respect to the analysis for ECMs at each site. The core team consisted of the Garden Grove Facilities group, Climate Resolve, Southern California Edison, Efren and his team, and SoCal Gas. And then for Santiago High School, DNVGL, Ilya and her team did the analysis, the ZNE analysis, technical analysis and recommendations. And for the Ralston project, it was Noresco doing the ZNE technical analysis and recommendations. Next slide, please. And I'll hand this back to Celia.
Yeah, thank you, Seth. Yeah, and as Seth spoke there, the Santiago High School with the Garden Grove School District was really an ideal candidate, round peg, round hole for this program and for achieving kind of ZNE. They, as Seth mentioned, they had a culture of frugality. They really were already kind of leveraging Prop 39 funds as well as modernization bond funds and CREPS for the PV solar, and as well as they were looking to install HVAC across their campuses, which obviously they realized was going to increase their energy load. So they were looking for solutions to reduce the district's anticipated energy costs. Next slide, please. So the analysis that took place, you can go one more slide too, sorry. So the analysis that took place with this building was we looked at kind of a number of buildings on the campus and decided that this 8,000 square foot science classroom building was the ideal kind of candidate for the Prop 39 program. We also wanted to make sure, and the district also wanted to make sure that in this process, whatever the solutions that we came up with, they wanted them to be replicable and scalable. They did not want other buildings on the campus to be missing out on certain features that this science classroom was going to have. They wanted to make sure there was equity there. So we had to look at kind of low-cost solutions, but also solutions that could be scalable and also maintained properly by the school district. And that was another key kind of component to that. So the pie chart there on the right shows this baseline energy use for this classroom building. And you can see there that there is no cooling energy use in the baseline. So they did not have any space cooling. Those classrooms were getting extremely hot in the not just the summer months, but also the shoulder seasons. And the students were really struggling to concentrate in those temperatures, as you can imagine. So and as well as the teachers struggling to kind of teach under those conditions. So thermal comfort in the participation through this program in finding kind of retrofit solutions, thermal comfort was really something that they wanted to strive for, considering what their baseline was. So the next two high loads there were plug load and interior lighting, when you remove cooling, obviously, from the baseline. And those loads are obviously driven by occupant behavior. So we really wanted to kind of look towards educating the occupants and the kids in these classrooms, as well as the teachers, in whatever solutions we looked at incorporating in this building. Next slide, please. So we came to reduce kind of that existing energy footprint. We obviously, we did quite the analysis in energy efficiency measures, looking at kind of what the best solutions were from a cost standpoint, as well as from energy savings. And we started with the site EUI there of 34 with the roof insulation, so improving the roof insulation there. And then we also looked at high performance windows, LED lighting for all classrooms combined with occupancy sensors. We also installed solar tubes into this building with daylighting sensors, of course. And then the second last measure there is the gamification piece, which really kind of built on this occupant behavior and really encouraging this kind of the kids and what can really happen with educational buildings like this. And as Riley touched on earlier in her opening remarks, this really is why educational building types are ideal for ZNE, because they come with this education teaching component for the occupants, where they can really kind of get the occupants involved in helping reduce the energy as well. So in this case, we're really striving to get the kids involved in terms of having this kind of healthy competition. And I'll build on what we ended up with installing there in later slide, but that also obviously reduced the energy consumption annually there by really having giving the occupants that knowledge and that power to kind of be their own ZNE champions there to further reduce the load. And then lastly, we looked at having the setback temperature optimization, again, to reduce energy, but also to improve the thermal comfort in those classrooms. Next slide, please. Okay, and so now you're going to see some different numbers appear on these bar charts. So in terms of how the Prop 39 program is addressed and how the CPUC defines a ZNE definition, it actually changed while this project was participating in the program. So we did look at kind of both kind of definitions here. We looked at both a ZNE source definition, which those are why those numbers there are a little higher than the previous page. We also looked at site ZNE just in order to see if, actual looking at, say, utility bills annually, what they needed to produce on site to offset that. And then the ZNE TDB definition, we were halfway through that analysis when the CPUC actually changed the definition for this program. And for existing buildings, the TDB definition just did not make sense. So they chose to adopt source in this case. So this is kind of the end graph that we adopted and have in the report. And that's why those numbers, those EUI numbers listed on each of those bar charts, are a little higher than what you saw on the previous screen. So there you can see, looking at the source ZNE source ZNE EUI there for the baseline of 49, getting it down to that 36 with that thermal comfort, the setback optimization measure. And so that's where we looked at this is the EUI, this is the source EUI needed for our PV to offset the energy demand. Next slide, please. And so, like I was mentioning, occupant engagement was a really huge component of this project. We really wanted the students to become the ZNE champions in the classroom, and we wanted kind of the education on building and measure control to promote energy savings. And we did so by kind of having these living laboratory software dashboards tracking dozens of electricity and gas monitoring points throughout the building. And we had these, we plan to have these dashboards so they're outside the classrooms where the students can see what their energy use is and have this data accessible to further kind of reduce the energy load. Knowledge is power in this case. Next slide. So Seth, currently the project is just finished construction, so I'll hand this off to Seth to kind of give us an update there on the project status.
Great. So let's see if I can do this. Could you please give me the next slide? Having a little trouble on my end. Great. So this is what the classrooms look like before modernization and before ZNE. This is an AP Environmental Science classroom. Next slide, please. This is the modernization effort. Next slide, please. And this is what the classroom looks like now. I just spoke with the teacher whose classroom this is yesterday, and she is overjoyed. She just loves her new classroom. She loves the AC. She loves the solar tubes and the increased daylighting. In fact, she said she rarely uses the LED lights in her classroom these days. She said that her kids seem to love it too. And she kept repeating how happy she is with the renovation. And she's taking a little bit of time to add back some of the more homey and warm elements to her classroom this fall. But in general, she's just thrilled. Next slide, please. So in terms of the challenges so far, Celia mentioned that the district had planned to use clean renewable energy bonds to finance PV, and actually a broader PV program across multiple campuses. As many of you may know, CREBs were eliminated at the end of last year with the new tax legislation that Congress passed. So that unfortunately took that source of funding off the table for the district, and consequently, they weren't able to justify using other funds that the district has to reallocate those funds away from other pressing needs within the district to fund PV. And so currently the modernization is done and the building is ZNE ready, but is not ZNE because we have not installed the PV carports that were planned for the project. Next slide, please. And I'll hand it back to Celia.
Thanks, Seth. So, yeah, some closing thoughts for this project in the program. We believe that obviously case studies provide this invaluable examples of real-time challenges for ZNE projects. And we believe that with participating in this program, there really is not one program that fits all approaches for ZNE. And as Seth mentioned, we have had some challenges so far in terms of the school actually being able to fund the renewable side of this program since they eliminated the tax credits. So it's just an example of where this is kind of not a solution that fits all ZNE projects. And for public buildings, such as schools, public schools that leverage diverse funding sources that are limited, the cost of ZNE can be a barrier. So actually being able to fund this renewables needed to offset that energy load can be a problem in some cases, like this for Santiago High School, where these tax credits were removed. But we do want to kind of end on a positive note here and really focus on the project wins and achievements that occurred through this project. And as Seth mentioned, the teachers are really, and the students are elated with the improvement that's happened with their with their classrooms, and the overall visual and thermal comfort improvement that has occurred through this retrofit. And so we would take that as a small win here, and even getting the school down to where it's classified ZNE ready, I think is a huge achievement, not only with just this classroom building, but the school district has then made this a standard moving forward for all retrofits. So everything that was implemented in this school is now going to be a standard moving forward for other classrooms and other buildings. So overall, the district is going to see this improvement in visual and thermal comfort for their occupants, as well as kind of this huge improvement in productivity, which is a byproduct of both. So we really see this as a successful kind of project in that our schools happy. They've been able to adopt these solutions going forward, and that now those kids are not suffering in that awful heat that occurs out there in Garden Grove, during summer. So I think that's where we would like to end the presentation for today. So thank you. I'll pass it off to Riley again.
Thank you, Celia and Seth. That's so great. I love that story. So I'm going to pass this off to Farah, who will lead you through the San Bernardino Community College retrofits.
Actually, we start with Hussein Aga.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Hussein Aga. I am the Director of Facilities Planning and Construction at the San Bernardino Community College District.
Riley, can you go to the next slide and pass the control over?
And I have also Farah Farzana. She is our Sustainability and Energy Manager, and we're going to walk you through today through our ZNE journey.
Next slide, Riley.
Our program highlights for today will be the following. We will be give you a short brief about San Bernardino Community College District and who we are, and talk about our sustainability culture within our district, and provide you an overview about CADMAS analysis, which is SCE consultant for that provided our energy audit and analysis and design criteria for our projects. And also we'll be talking about our ZNE zero net energy approach for our district office. And we will dive into the project implementation and how we were able to accomplish and achieve some of these energy efficiency project, and obviously the main one was the renewable energy, which is the PV at our district. We will be also talking about our challenges and lessons learned from this effort so far. Next slide. Who we are, who is San Bernardino Community College District. We are one out of 72 community college districts in the state of California. So it's a big system. We have two colleges, San Bernardino Valley College and Crafton Hills College. Our community college, like any other community college district, is a booster to the economy of the regional area. So we serve a big geographical region, almost like 4 million people, for 22 cities. We serve 25,000 students on yearly basis, and we have quite large, facilities. District-wide, we are about over 1 million square foot, and overall facilities total is 57. We, as a district, contribute to the economy, and that contribution was assessed about $621 million each year. So community college is a really great booster to the economy within the region. Next slide. Okay. In 2012, the district really developed a great sustainability plan, and that plan was, identified, 7 goals, and these goals are create a campus-wide culture of sustainability, incorporate sustainability into the development of new and renovated facilities, invest in renewable energy and energy efficiency projects, develop more sustainable transportation system, develop more sustainable system for purchase of supplies and materials, enhance education opportunities for sustainability, and establish commitment to climate action. So these basically were kind of like the cornerstone of our sustainability initiatives throughout our journey. And that was trickled down from our board of trustees and the chancellor and the campus's president down to our administration, faculty, and students. Farah and I work in the facilities planning and construction, and we are the drive for the sustainability initiatives and also the zero net energy initiatives and the proceeds. Our mission as a department is to support the mission of the district through the planning and development of facilities and standards which advance learning by providing safe, sustainable, and high quality environment. We manage and oversee the construction projects from initiation through the design. We manage also our LEED certified projects, sustainability programs throughout. Our department also oversee and keep our document updated and our plans updated, such as the district standard and spec, honor program requirements, facilities master plan, which is an outcome of our educational master plan through collegial consultation and shared governance participation, for the process, throughout the process. We also manage our sustainability integrated energy master plan, and obviously the saving by design, water saving plan, and waste and recyclable. So the drive for the district sustainability is through what is coming from this design and construction. As I mentioned, sustainability is a culture within our district, and that started in 2010 when the district participated in the American College and University President Climate Commitment. Then, right after, the district developed a board policy. Our board of trustees are really passionate about sustainability and about also climate change, so they develop a policy. Form great committee and come up with the sustainability plan in 2012, which was adopted and was, as I mentioned, was the cornerstone for our initiatives. Right after, we developed our alternate energy concept plan and energy conservation plan, which provides as a lot of studies about our existing facilities and their energy consumptions and how we can be more sustainable. And that was not only the initiatives. The other initiatives was basically talking to our users and stakeholders and change the behavior within our district to be more sustainable. We have done a lot of projects from 2010 through today. 10 of them were LEED certified projects, between platinum to LEED certified. We've done infrastructure such as federal plan, a solar farm at Crofton Hills College. We are continuing with our facility master plan, which identified a lot of goals about sustainability and zero net energy and energy management. Farah joined us early this year, and she's been the drive for our sustainability and zero net energy initiative. And she will also be talking to all of you about her great journey. And we are in the process of developing our integrated energy and sustainability master plan district-wide. Next slide. All right. Well, some of the, Riley, seems like something wrong with the slide, but that's okay. I can talk about it. The challenges, opportunities, and initiatives. Our district has been really lucky of passing two local bonds, which provided us a lot of leverage to accomplish some of our sustainability goals and put it in the path towards zero net energy. But that was not only the reason that we have the money. We have also the passion, and we have also the emotion to be sustainable. We kind of like leverage Prop 39 fund to implement a lot of our energy efficiency projects. And we also were able also to work with Southern California Edison in this pilot program for our project at the district office, which it's in the progress. And we've been learning a lot from the district office ZNE implementation, which would be eventually, we will be transferring to the campus level, which we have a lot of buildings. And by learning from the district office will give us a great leverage for the campus at the campus level. My recommendation as a facilities director, for planning and construction, if any community college district or even school district, when they do work on their master plan, they need also to develop steps towards zero net energy. As Riley and the rest of the team were talking about, zero net energy will be a reality very soon and has become a reality. So when you put these goals into your master plan and get everyone buys into it, you will get your buildings achieve that goal, and your district achieve that goal. And now we're going to dive into the district office zero net energy implementation. This slide provides us some data about our pre-ZNE district office and the constructions. And we did also some energy analysis and audit, and we figured out we have really lower efficiency rooftop units at the district office. We have we need to do some upgrades there. We have also we've been using the lighting, P8 lighting, and now there's an opportunity to implement the zero net LED lighting. So these, kind of like our audits of the facilities. CADMOS come up with really great analysis by auditing our facilities, come up with the 10 energy efficiency measures and their impact and recommendation. And we were in a lot of meetings with the team in order to get these efficient energy measures implemented, and I think we were able to get 8 out of 10 implemented because they all make sense. We secured the money through the Prop 39 and also through an incentive provided by the pilot program. Now I'm going to turn it over to Farah, who's going to walk you through the implementation of the ZNE program.
So hi, how are you guys all doing? Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you NBI and Riley for coordinating this webinar. I'm going to go through this as fast as I can, so excuse me if I'm just rambling really fast. This chart represents an approach to achieving zero net energy. It's a hierarchy of ways you want to start looking at interventions for your ZNE project. You start by load reduction, such as looking at the facade and finding ways that you can limit unwanted solar energy entering the building. Then you start moving into passive strategies, then into efficient systems, such as efficient HVAC and controls. Then you look at potential for energy recovery. Then you start looking at your renewable energy system. The goal here is that by this time you've driven energy down so much that you have a much smaller system, which will be a more cost-efficient approach. This is the approach that SBCCD used. Just mapping the energy efficiency measures that Hussein showed us earlier. We have automated shading, which is a load reduction strategy. We have light tubes, which is passive strategy using natural daylight. Also, upgrading to tankless water heater is another passive strategy. We have active strategies such as LED lighting retrofit, as well as upgrading to ultra-high efficiency rooftop package units. As you can see from the pie chart, most of our effort is focused on improving efficiency. The bar to the left here, I'm sorry, during the presentation mode has moved our charts around a little bit, so you will receive a corrected version later. But the bar to the left is showing our existing energy uses of the facility before any of the measures are implemented. The chart to the right of that chart is basically is the scaled up version that represents source energy, which accounts for total energy usage. Okay. This is, oh, sorry. Okay, so here is when we implement all of the energy efficiency measures, we will bring our consumption down as much as we can. And then we start looking at the renewable energy. Wow, it does not show. Okay, well, we had a bar chart all the way to the right, which was a yellow chart, bar. And it was showing that there is a variance between the size of our renewable energy and the proposed energy efficiency measures. In other words, if we were to implement every single energy measure that Cabinet recommended, we will actually be net positive. But because of the cost of constraint, we are not implementing every single. There were 10 measures recommended, we're implementing 8. And so we're targeting net zero energy. Okay, this is better. This is our solar carport system. We have a 174 kilowatt carport system provided by SunPower. It has an added benefit, which we all love, and it's the reduction of the heat island effect. It has been operational since February, and the production so far has met expectations, so we are on target. The first project that we implemented was our LED lighting retrofit project, because it offered the greatest potential to reduce our site EUI. Probably about 1/3 of our energy efficiency was by replacing existing fluorescent lights with LEDs. We installed 480 LED fixtures with in-ocean occupancy sensors and daylighting sensors. We had a couple of really good partners on board, LA Lighting and in-ocean controls we worked very closely with and coordinated with. The lighting system was predominantly a retrofit solution. From the troughers that you see here, they take inside out and screw in a retrofit solution, retrofit LED module. So it's fairly quick and simple. All of these are integrated with our light tubes that you will see later. On the right, you see the color difference between the fluorescent and LED. The old existing lighting was quite yellow, and the new lighting is bright and clear. The next one is another example at the executive training room. These are parabolic fixtures that we could not come up with a retrofit solution for, so the lights were replaced in the executive training center. A few other rooms that had the parabolic fixtures. Again, you see the color difference between before and after, case of fluorescent to LEDs. As I said, in-ocean controls were great to work with. The light tubes that were used on this project, we will discuss later, solar tube, predominantly work with Lutron controls. Since we're using in-ocean controls on our LED lighting retrofit project, it made great sense for us to use the same type of controls. Solar tube initially was not comfortable with switching from Lutron to in Ocean, but after several conversations, they accommodated us. They were great to work with, and the Solitude agreed, and an Ocean rep flew in to train our contractors on how to use an Ocean controls. Now, here's the startup process. As you can see, one of our team members working for our contractor is our controls specialist. He's working on the laptop. He's calibrating the lights, the controls, integration between various components, and setting light levels. This being a pilot program, it's natural that we're working on many firsts, such as Solitude working with an Ocean controls. This is another first. The gentleman that you see here, with training and support from LA Lighting and an Ocean controls, they trained him to become a control specialist, and this is his first project as a control specialist. The installation of 15 light pipes began shortly after the LED retrofit project. HMC was brought on to design the layout for this project. I should have pointed out earlier that I'm using light tube and solar tube interchangeably. Solar tube is the manufacturer of the light tubes, and their light tubes are being installed throughout this project. But it all comes out to energy saving, which is achieved by daylight harvesting. It's taking the daylight sensors inside the room and automatically adjusting the artificial light to provide less light output to make up for more daylight coming in from the solar tube. When it comes to solar tube, they have a very nice lens. Starting at the point where the sun is coming in, they have the ability to harvest light even when it is at a low angle. It will actually reject high intensity when the sun is directly overhead. Most of you are probably familiar with this product. It's a highly reflective tube that goes down from a lens through your attic space. It has a fair amount of flexibility. It bends at 90 degrees angle, and it also bends at the long run. But obviously, the shorter the run, the more direct the run, and the less loss of light. But in reality, it can be implemented for any retrofit solution. For this particular project, we also use dimming controls that the solar tube offers. Now, we have 2 more projects in the works. One is in the bidding phase, and the other 2 are in planning phase. We have the HVAC replacement project that involves installation of 5 ultra-high efficiency HVAC units in the district office, as well as adding CO2 sensors for demand control ventilation. We also have the hot water heater. We're utilizing the gas, Southern California Gas Company midstream program. We're replacing existing gas storage water heater with new tankless high efficiency water heater. And the last project is the district office classroom. All window shades are closed. We are going to be installing solar shades. These automatic shading devices will minimize lighting operation during daylight hours. We're looking at motorized Meco Shades automated shading system with daylight wireless sensors to be installed in 4 of our classrooms. Hussein will go over the cost with you.
Hi, everyone. Again, this is Hussein. Thank you so much, Farah, for your great presentation. This is, the snapshot of our cost for, achieving our ZNE at the district level. I know all the community college districts and also K-12, we always have challenges with the money, but we were fortunate in this proceed that we have funds from Prop 39, from the state, which we utilize. And thank you so much for the pilot program, providing us $300,000, worth of, incentive to get this project done. So as I mentioned, this is just a snapshot of the cost in overall and how much we pay from Prop 39 and how much the ZNE contributed. As I mentioned, we are learning in our existing facility, which will be becoming a zero net energy. But again, at the end of the day, we want to transfer this initiatives at the campus level. On the right-hand side, you will see San Bernardino Valley College, which includes almost like 33 different facilities. And our goal is to get the campus as a zero net energy campus. We're still learning. I know it's a long journey, but I think we are on the right track. And one of our first project is the solar PV at the college, and all the blue highlight are either rooftop rooftop PV or carport PV at the parking lot. So that's upcoming very soon. All right. I think we concluded our presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for presenting. You know, we had a bunch of really dynamic speakers, so we don't have enough time left for questions today. However, we do have a lot of questions submitted, and some of them are really good. So we will be taking those, and I will give them to our presenters to address, and then we'll be sending them out to the whole group so that we can all benefit from the lessons learned. Thank you again for joining us on our webinar today. We'll be having a fourth one, as I mentioned, in November about the cost of ZNE. So Farah will talk a little bit more about the cost breakout that they just identified here. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day.